The dogs strike back. Let's talk some Georgia recruiting with Director of Recruiting for Rivals, Chad Simmons. Chad, Georgia just picked up a top 20 linebacker in Nick Abrams, and there's some competition here.
Yeah, Oregon was definitely not going away. They fought to the very end in this race. Obviously, Dan Lanning, a disciple of Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, knows how to recruit, knows how to build that brand at Oregon. And he gave Nick Abrams and his family a lot to think about and digest as they made this decision. Of course, Alabama and Michigan were involved as well, but this came down to SEC versus Big Ten, Kirby Smart versus Dan Lanning, and Kirby Smart and that staff in Athens got the job done and got the commitment from Nick Abrams.
And we have seen some Dan Lanning versus Kirby Smart recruitments, and this one goes in the dog's direction. Georgia fans, hit subscribe. These are exciting times. We're talking Georgia recruiting all off season long. Now, let's talk about Abrams as a prospect. 6'2", 220 pounds, sideline to sideline speed. What do you like from the prospect out of Maryland?
Yeah, I would say his mental makeup as much as anything, just from a maturity standpoint. I mean, he talks like a grown man. He went through the process like a mature young adult that he is, and really handled the pressure of being an elite recruit, to taking all the visits, to the outside noise. And I was really impressed with that as much as anything, about how he breaks things down, decompartmentalizes things, and really kind of breaks it down to step by step. And I see him doing the same on the football field, to reading his keys, doing his assignments, but yet playing fast, playing physical, being a leader. To me, he checks a lot of boxes. And I know from a Georgia perspective, he was a top guy on their board from the very beginning. The first time they spoke with him, the first time they met with him, he ascended up that board and became one of their top targets at linebacker.
And it comes at a good time, because one of their other top targets, Tyler Atkinson, committed to Texas just a day ago. I mean, Nick Abrams would have been a take with Tyler Atkinson as well, right?
Oh, there's no doubt. Georgia wants to sign in this class 3 linebackers. They had one going into Darius Tootle, flipping from Auburn earlier this summer in June. Nick Abrams was a top target regardless of what Tyler Atkinson did, picking Georgia, Texas, wherever he went. Obviously, he chose Texas now. But look, Georgia wanted Nick Abrams. He checks a lot of boxes for what they want in that room under Glenn Schumann, from off the field to on the field, from leadership to playmaking ability. So look, yes, Tyler Atkinson, huge loss for Georgia on Tuesday. Fast forward to Wednesday, huge win with Nick Abrams.
So what do you think Georgia's going to do at the linebacker position? Do they continue to evaluate into the fall? Is there somebody that they would like to maybe circle back on that committed to a program earlier in the cycle? What do you think, or are they done at the linebacker position? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they would like not to be done, this cycle, and add that third, just to build that depth in that room. But look, Georgia recruits at an elite level. They're not going to sign a guy just to sign a guy, especially now with the portal the way that it is. They can kind of go that way if they had to. But I think the number one guy to watch now is Isaiah Williams. Obviously, he's been very fluid in his recruitment, with, I think, 5 different schools being committed to now. Ole Miss right now is the team Georgia and other schools want to get him away from. But he's one of the top linebackers in the country from down in Florida. He took an OV to Athens over the summer. They've stayed in communication. To me, he's the one to watch. I could see other linebackers, kind of popping up on their board when we get into September, October, November. But right now, Isaiah Williams is that guy to watch.
All right. Well, today it's all about 6'2", 220-pound thumper Nick Abrams commits to Georgia. Big news for Dog fans.